Hey guys, it is Jonathan here, and we are back in Miami with a track guide with the Mercedes GT3. I know it is basically the end of the week, but hey, maybe this will help you next season. I don't know if IMSA comes here later on, I don't know. But anyways, let's take a look at the track. Alright, so for turn one, we are going to be looking at the 150-meter board and the 100-meter board, somewhere in the middle, closer to the 150 mark. We're looking to start braking, ease into the brake. Let the car slow down, and then of course increase pressure a little bit up to 70 or so percent using all of the left hand side, and we get the car turned in. Now for these curbs here, we are pretty much using the raised part, keeping the inside tire on the raised part. If we go onto the blue, car's going to bottom out just because this blue is a bit of a dip, so it kind of makes it so that the car gets unsettled. Here I use a little bit too much of the blue, and so you can see how the car reacted. Not the end of the world, but anyways, so now we want to get the car kind of over to the right, but not far actually, because we're just going to cut turn two. So pretty neat how you can just do that. I don't know why it's allowed, but it is. So as long as the right sides are on this strip here of curb, you'll be okay. So it's not a 1X, and we maybe can even cut a little bit more. But through here, I'm in third gear just because it is a bit sketchy. There's a lot of grip, tons of grip there. And now as we get moving through this long right-hander, go out kind of wide, but not too wide, where it opens up. It's probably the furthest out we want to go, about right here. And you can see we're working the wheel just a little bit. It's on edge, but keep our foot in it, no big deal. Now again, just past the 50-meter board and somewhere between the 50-meter board and the blue wall, we want to start braking and get the car turned in. We're going to use all of the inside just about. I do happen to like that curve, although I don't know if that matters too much. It might be a preference thing. And for this one, we definitely want to underdrive this corner, you could say, because we want to really set ourselves up for this long right-hander. This is the more important one. Obviously, they all go together, but I think this is one of the most important corners. If you get this one right, it's going to set you up for the very long left-hander. Now we want to cut as much as we can. We want to get up against this white line. Maybe could have cut this more as well, but it's all about using all of this track, again, to open up for the left. Very long left-hander coming up. Yeah, definitely use all of this. Very gentle with the inputs. And then again, we want to set ourselves up. I'm going to use this curve, but I'm not using too much of it, even though it's completely flat, just because I want to set ourselves up for a wider line for this left-hander. Now, I'm kind of looking out forward here for the most part, kind of where the stadium kind of that gap right there, I guess, or where the tarmac kind of changes colors, where it becomes painted again, is where I'm looking at. Once we get to about there, that's when we want to really start braking and kind of get the car to slow down. But because we have so much wheel input, we don't really want to use too much brake. So very little braking. And then, of course, get the car turned in. We want to get onto the throttle early. And I'm using these tire marks right here to really judge where we want to get the car turned in. Once it goes across that rubbered line, that's about where we want to get going. And you could use the curb as I did here, but I don't know if it's recommended because it can definitely upset the balance of the car, straddle these curbs close to the wall as you can get. All right, that's the first half of the lap done. Very tricky first half for sure. Now for the second half. So this one here is about 150, maybe a little bit before. And we want to get the car slowed down all the way on the right-hand side. And of course, get the car turned in, reducing the pressure. Another one of those curves where we want to get the left sides up on the raised part. Kind of missed it. There's probably half a tenth in this lap specifically, but definitely if you're not using the curb and you try to use the curb and you hit it just right, you'll find like a tenth or two for sure. So definitely want to use that. On exits, I think you can use maybe a little bit more through here, but it's fine. I think what I did here is just going to allow me to take a tighter line, which is what I prefer. Close up against the wall, we're full throttle here, and then close up against this wall. Once we go past the apex, we lift out the throttle, close up against this wall, very, very minimal braking where it's needed. Cut across that curb, and then get up against this wall, turn it in, very light braking. We could have trailed better through here, and we're going to scrape the wall, but it wasn't a 0x, so it did not invalidate. We got lucky. So, but again, taking a closer look here, again, this is kind of like a double apex kind of corner, but I really just late apexed it and keep it tight, going from one wall to the next. And then here, I mean, you could probably cut a little bit more, but really the bollard is going to be your visual cue. We want to cut this corner as much as we can. And again, the same thing as if your left sides are pretty much on the red and white, you'll be okay. Yeah, we definitely could have taken more. It's okay. And then again, once I get up against this wall here, we pretty much want to go ahead and start braking. It's very easy to overdrive this corner just because it kind of opens up. It like tightens, of course, here on exit, but it kind of opens up a little bit. So it's like a longer corner than it seems. Of course, using this curb will help slow the car down and get it to turn. Here we are in second gear. I just think second gear is just better. First gear, diminishing returns. And yeah, I mean, it really does come down to better braking to keep it off the wall. But if you get a 0x there, it's invalid. If you get nothing, you're okay. Again, it didn't give me a 0x or anything. All right, so now for the final braking zone. So we have the end of the blue and then the 150 meter. I'm somewhere in the middle, but closer to the blue, I think. We start braking, and here we get the car slowed down in a straight line as best as we can, using the right-hand side as much as we can. Now, of course, trail brake off, but again, we're not using more than like 60 to 70% of braking, and in most cases, using a little bit less. And once we get the car turned in, I think you can use this curb. I mean, it does help rotate the car a little bit, but here I don't, because sometimes you don't need that extra rotation and it just upsets the car. Second gear for me, coming out of this corner as well. First gear, there's just not enough grip. And of course, track out. That's basically it. I mean, there's not much more to it, right? Two very tricky sections, but the corners all come in rapid succession. And if you get the first one right, you should get the next one right. That should lead you to get the final, tricky corner right in that sequence. And if you can do that, both halves of the laps, you can eventually put down a 155.3 as we have here in this case. So thank you all for watching. Of course, full cockpit lap here in just a moment, so just check it out, of course. But otherwise, what else you like to see?